have a really good speaker today. He's a good person, he's a good leader, and he's appropriately named Dr. Dan Good. Now, they say the two toughest jobs in this city are head football coach at The Ohio State University and superintendent of the Columbus City Schools. Now, the difference is Urban Meyer has to be great on 12 Saturdays. Hopefully it's 14 or 15 days out of the year. Our superintendent has to be great 365 days a year, and he is. I was going to go over the many activities that we have, but in the interest of time, and since it's already been covered, let's just say that Rotary considers Columbus City Schools as an important partner, and we have so many projects. We didn't mention the Coleraine School, which I know many of you participate during the holiday season, and I would like to just take 1 second to mention all those who work on the dictionary program, which was funded by my partner Don Kelly and his wife Nancy with a permanent endowment so that every third grader in the Columbus City Schools have their own dictionary. And for the most part, it's their first and only book, which is really important. And I know Tim McGee this year, I want to mention my favorite nephew, at least in the room today, Steve Weiler, who certainly has honchoed that program, but so many of you here have been involved in the sorting and distribution of those dictionaries, which I think is an important project. Moving on, for today's speaker, as you know, our Columbus City School Superintendent is Dr. Dan Good. He received his bachelor's and doctor's degree in education from The Ohio State University, in between his master's degree in education from Miami and Oxford. He served as superintendent of the Worcester City Schools before being selected as Westerville City School superintendent. On October 9th, 2012, at the ripe age of 51, I might say, for us young Rotarians, Dr. Dan Good announced his retirement from the Westerville schools, which was in large part because of our pension system. But it was not before Westerville had received a grade of excellence with distinction by the state of Ohio on their report card for 3 consecutive years, which is really outstanding, and I'm sure was an important criteria for Dan being selected as the interim superintendent virtually the day after he left Westerville, so we gave him no break. And then a year later, the school board unanimously selected Dr. Good as their superintendent on a permanent basis. At a time when the Columbus City Schools were being barraged, as you may recall, with negative publicity, it was only fitting that our new superintendent is one who was extremely popular in Westerville with not only the administration, but also with the teachers, with the students, with their parents, and importantly, with the voters. And so we have a person here who has really elevated the image of our school system, and I'm very proud to say that we now have a superintendent in place that is taking us to new heights. And so today we're going to hear Dr. Good tell us about the new innovation generation, is that the right title? Which is, that's what I was told. That is the purpose of which he will explain to us, but obviously our goal is to see our Columbus School students be trained, skilled for the job market, and I think that's where we're headed. So Dr. Good, so happy you're here.
Thank you, Mr. Weiler. You know, one of the best features of the boathouse at Confluence Park is really the view, and You need to take a look at that and appreciate it. I think by standing upriver from downtown Columbus, you get a much greater, a much wider perspective of just how impressive our downtown skyline is. And if you've been around long enough, you recognize some of the major changes. But it's really only when you begin to move closer, when you drive down Spring Street and walk along High and Broad, that you truly see what's most impressive. You see everything that's been improved, but you also see what's still under construction and all that still needs to be fixed. And for the people who work or live or visit downtown, I believe there's a renewed sense of excitement and energy and pride. And the same can be said of Columbus City Schools. Most people have seen the upriver view, or at least read about it in the newspaper, and hopefully they recognize what has changed over just these past couple of years. So today, I want to move your view a little bit closer so you can see all that's been improved and all that we're working on, because like downtown, there are still some things we need to fix. And also like downtown, I believe there's a new sense of energy and pride about our school district. It's something I've been calling the spirit of success, a new sense of purpose, a sense of pride among our teachers, staff, and students, and it's matched with a devotion to innovation and a commitment to academic achievement. And we're working hand in hand with our city's leaders in the private, public, and nonprofit sector to create real change in the way we deliver quality education to our city's children. The spirit of success is found in the fundamental belief that a high-quality education opens opportunities and gives our students the tools to build a brighter future from cradle through career. And that's one of the reasons we continue to invest in high-quality pre-kindergarten. In fact, later this week, I'll announce a new grant we received, almost $1 million, that will help us add over 200 more seats for our 4-year-olds in the city. We're doing this in partnership with the Columbus City Council, and it'll put us closer to the community goal of giving every 4-year-old a head start on learning. It's also why we are still all hands in on 3rd grade reading. This is a very impactful story we should take pride in. 2 years ago, we started the year with only 35% of our 3rd graders passing the 3rd grade reading guarantee. So we launched not just a district-wide, but a citywide effort to focus on reading instruction by providing extraordinary opportunities for improvement. We put books on all of our school buses. We gave parents tips and tools to use at home through a series of parent reading academies. We walked door to door to get students signed up for summer school. And we recruited reading buddies to come into our schools and read one-on-one with our students. And I'm proud to say, the last spring, 92% of our 3rd graders, more than 4,200 3rd graders, passed the 3rd grade guarantee and were eligible for promotion to 4th grade. The point isn't the dramatic turnaround. The point is we've given those students literacy skills that will last a lifetime. I see our spirit of success manifest in the spirit of effective learning. One of our goals has been great schools in every neighborhood serving as a hub of learning, and effective learning no longer limited to the classroom. This year, we opened the Columbus Gifted Academy. Dr. Boyle is here representing that dream, a dream that I've had for over 35 years and quickly becoming one of our most talked about programs. This academy specializes in instruction that is interactive and embedded throughout the community, at the zoo, at COSI, at the Ohio Street Connection, at the Columbus Museum of Art, where students are in residence for a couple of weeks at a time, working side by side the experts in those industries. The spirit of success is also behind our launch of the new health sciences academies at all 6 of the schools in Columbus's Near East Side. In classrooms in those buildings, students are exposed to health and science-related experiences and lessons mixed with hands-on learning and career exploration. The students wear white lab coats, and the schools are filled with images and messages showcasing health sciences. And when they get to high school, there are internship opportunities for our East High School students at the OSU East Hospital and Wexner Medical Center. And no matter what path these students choose after graduation, they will have the skills, those executive skills of critical thinking that are essential to a lifetime journey of experimentation, innovation, and discovery. In the coming weeks, we'll be launching a new coordinated effort on mentoring, connecting more of our students with caring adults through programs both inside and outside of the schools, with the goal initially to have a mentor for every 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 12th grader in Columbus City Schools. As we talk about this spirit of success, we know that the citizens of Columbus, you, me, expect great outcomes of their schools and place a high level of expectation on the people who represent and work for them, and we agree. That's why there's also a spirit of high expectations across our enterprise. We're attracting the best and the brightest talent to help us in our mission. In fact, we see our ability to recruit, develop, support, and retain the best talent as a competitive advantage. You may have read the article that where many districts, ring districts in Central Ohio, were seeking special education license, gifted and talented license, English as a second language license, mathematics and science teachers, we had filled all of our vacancies. It is quickly becoming the destination district. And we're taking a much more customer-centric approach to our service. One of the best examples I can give is our new Central Enrollment Center. It is a one-stop shop for parents and guardians enrolling their children. This center offers online access, academic assessment, bus information, and even vaccinations through the city's health department, all at one stop. Earlier this summer, the center enrolled almost 15,000 new students. That's the size of Dublin City Schools. It's a 5.4% growth in enrollment for Columbus City Schools this year. Finally, the spirit of success is paramount if we want to maintain and strengthen the community's trust and further raise the levels of accountability at every position throughout the district. You may recall the latest review by the Ohio's Auditor of State positively reported on our substantial steps to review, improve, and develop new systems and policies that have increased the fidelity and the security of our data. That same report recognized how new training is transforming the district's operations, mitigating the mistakes of the past and rebuilding the integrity. And because of this spirit of trust and accountability, our community partnerships in the public, the nonprofit, and private sectors are growing stronger each year. Just this month, we announced an innovative new effort with Nationwide Children's Hospital, one that will boost school-based health care inside 8 of our buildings on the east and south sides. Starting later this year, nurse practitioners from Nationwide Children's will set up shop inside the school buildings. They will be able to diagnose common ailments such as strep throat and ear infection, and then prescribe medications and administer vaccines. Behavioral health clinicians will also be available to provide support, including prevention and therapeutic interventions. Our school nurses are incredible caregivers to so many of our students each year, so imagine how much better it will be for both the students and their families when access to additional health care is just down the hall instead of trying to get an appointment at a doctor's office. More importantly, this incredible partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital will give many of our young students access to the kind of primary care services that they currently aren't receiving. So as you've heard, the spirit of success is truly echoing throughout our district this year. We still have much work to do, but we have many accomplishments to share. Sometimes those accomplishments get lost when we simply stand upriver and forget to take a deeper street-level view. We're working to share these stories of success with our stakeholders, our students and families, our teachers and staff, our nonprofit and government partners, our local business community, and our institutions of higher education. But most of all, we want to share our spirit of success with the people who call Columbus home, who live here, who work here, and choose to be a part of our district, and with every person who believes, as we believe, that the children of this city, this great city, deserve the opportunity of a great education. The spirit of success is really the spirit of Columbus City Schools. And I thank you, Columbus Rotarians, for your role in furthering that success through service above self, through the internships you offer, through the summer scholarships, through the Enterprise Academy, yes, the Colerain Holiday Party, and the Dictionary Project, and so much more. And I thank you this afternoon, for allowing me to share the spirit of gratitude with you for that partnership. Thank you very much. And now we have questions. Yes, sir.
Is Columbus still the largest school district in Ohio? And if so, what are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
The question was, is Columbus still the largest school district in Ohio? Yes, it is the largest school district by approximately 27,000 students, next largest being Cleveland Municipal. The advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are there are many more experts that are full-time on the staff to contribute to problem solving, but that's also the disadvantage because we practice inclusive, collaborative decision making. So instead of one expert wearing many hats and contributing those perspectives to solution seeking, we would have a room filled like this with experts all offering that perspective, which is important, but it lengthens the amount of time required to come to resolution because it has to be a very iterative process. We come up with a solution, more perspectives are lent to that solution, and we modify appropriately. In a smaller district, you have fewer people around the table. You can reach that conclusion much more quickly. I'm often asked what's the biggest difference between the districts where I've worked. I was also in Worcester, which is why I was looking at Holly, because Orville was one of our, so you can leave now, Holly. So. But there isn't a whole lot of difference. It's just the scale, truly. Many of the similar concerns, just the scale's larger. Yes, sir.
I was very interested to hear about your mentoring involvement. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little more on that.
Thank you. He's very interested in hearing about the mentoring project. I will tell you something. So 2 years ago, and those of you that know my superintendency know that it's very important to me to visit every employee in the district, whether it's in a classroom, a clinic, a cafeteria, gymnasium, what have you. And 2 years ago, I saved a particular building till last because that building had a reputation of being a pretty difficult place to be accepted. And when I went to that building, I would go into each classroom and introduce myself. And I would say, hello, my name is Dan Good. I'm the interim superintendent. And the greeting was very consistent. What the H is an interim superintendent. Who the H are you to be here and tell us that you're the superintendent? And I thanked them for not disappointing me, living up to their reputation. But I also went back to their football game that Friday night, and it's hard to believe, those of us that come from districts that have a lot of pride in our athletic programs, but the students actually saw me on the sidelines when I arrived to that game, and they stopped playing in the middle of the play and rushed over to the sideline to high-five me and give me hugs and ask me to buy them something from the concession stand. But it dawned on me right then that the one thing that is consistent for our children is inconsistency. And it's very difficult for them to be able to count on anything to be the same day after day, whether they go home, whether they come to school. And we have an obligation to provide those additional set of hands to parents. And there are more than enough willing hands in this community, I believe. So I did put away money the past couple of years, and in probably the first or second week of November, I'll be announcing the 3 individuals that will be leading that mentor project to hook up a positive, productive adult with every one of our children so that those children have someone that remember them on the day they're taking a test and call them the day after and ask how they did, or think of them on their birthday, or show up to their band concert, or come to the school just to meet the rest of their class and read with them. Again, so that there's consistency throughout their lives and they have a big brother, a guardian angel throughout their careers. Yes, sir.
Dr. Good, this will be a very difficult question, but what is the district's single greatest need?
The question was, what is the district's single greatest need? It is a difficult question. I think for me, it's more the city's need, and that's to change the sense of efficacy in our community. When we had those abysmal third grade reading results just 2 years ago, we went door to door, as you heard. Over 900 families received a visit from our staff. Sometimes the families wouldn't come down from the second floor of the building where they were living because they thought we were there maybe for other purposes. Once they realized we were there really to offer their children transportation, breakfast, lunch, quality educational experiences in the morning and supervised recreation in the afternoon, they consented. And we saw those gains. So the first year our gains moved really from 42.5% to 88%. So it was significant. And silly me, I thought they would be very thrilled and excited and thank me and throw flowers at my feet. That didn't happen. When I went back to them, they said, okay, well, what about us? What can you do for me now? And I thought, this is interesting. There wasn't that sense of efficacy before, the belief that they too had the ability to succeed, that they could get their diploma, that they could have the work skills so that they could secure one of the many jobs in the city. And that's when we redefined who the learner is, and we made it cradle through career. So education doesn't stop in 12th grade in Columbus City schools anymore. It's very organic now by neighborhood. That's another learning I had, is there's no one size that will fit all. There's no panacea, no silver bullet. So we go into communities and work with their civic associations or with neighbors or even with families and say, what do you need? Some still need their diploma. Some are underemployed, some are unemployed. And so we now have, springing up throughout the city, places where individuals can get nurses training, secretarial training. We're training them to get their commercial driver's license so they can secure some of those jobs. We have welding programs all over the city now, so that they too can have the same sorts of successes they saw us provide for their children. And I think it's very important that they have that hope and they can be a model. I don't know many parents that want to be poor parents or poor models for their children. Actually, I've never met a parent like that. And so I think we had an obligation then to change that sense of efficacy in our city. And I think it's bigger than just a school system problem. I think it's an opportunity for our whole city. Here and then back here.
Dr. Good, realizing that many students will not be going on to college and following on for what you're doing for the parents, vis-a-vis the last question, what sort of technical skills does Columbus Public Schools offer?
Thank you. The question was, what sorts of technical skills does Columbus City Schools offer? As you know, we have or maybe you don't know, but we do have two different career technical centers. One is at Fort Hays. We have our construction trades represented there. We've been working very, very closely with the building trades unions so that our students can participate in pre-apprenticeship programs, which will give them preferential candidacy to enter those apprenticeship programs for steel workers, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters. It's been very, very positive. It takes a long time to negotiate those new parameters and relationships, but we've been very successful. We actually have union shop instructors now instructing over at our Career Tech Center there. And those are springing up as well around the city because so much now of those construction trades, those sorts of skills, are more technologically oriented. It doesn't necessarily require you're going to a specific place to learn those skills. You can do that virtually through the technology we have across the city. We had an interesting meeting with the Automobile Dealers Association of Ohio a couple of weeks ago, and I think Germain, Crown, and Reichert were represented there, as well as leadership of their organization. And for the life of me, I didn't know why they wanted to meet. I thought, oh, I'm going to get a new car out of this, which I never would have accepted, and I certainly would have reported it on my form. Maybe you don't have to. No. So their question was, they said, I don't know, Dr. Good, how long it's been since you've had your car serviced, but it takes a couple weeks now because we are so short of service technicians, which has become a highly technological profession. And they wondered if there was something we could do. And again, we looked at it as an opportunity. So we actually have an auto mechanics lab, and we really have two kinds of learners there. We have those that are interested in doing the oil changes and changing the tires and so on. But we also have those that are very interested in digitally understanding how the engine works and troubleshooting it that way. So we've begun to create a program where they work actually at the automobile dealers service departments for a couple of weeks, and then they're back in classes a couple of weeks. So we're beginning to address that, but keep in mind we have some learners who may have some learning conditions that prevent them from ever acquiring those sorts of complex technological skills. And so there is still the need and opportunity for them to change tires and change oil and what have you. So it's opened up a whole new pool of potential employees for those dealers, and they seem to be very pleased, and we're moving forward on that. We all stand on the shoulders of those in front of us. Paula Bowers, some of those shoulders that I stood on. And we know that we start things small and do proof points. We're not going to launch something that's district-wide and then watch it fail. We're going to start small and troubleshoot those foxholes we step in, which is what we're doing with that program, which may be why you haven't heard about it. But the people that did hear about it are my own mechanics in the bus garage, because they also do all of the small engine repair for our vacuums and our floor buffers and our lawnmowers, and we don't have enough hands there either. So now some of our auto mechanic students are actually taking their classes at 17th Avenue, and they're using the small engine repair shop as their practicum to gain their skill set. And so it's helpful externally, but as well, it's helping create our own pool of employees internally. So great question. I do think that's the future, and we need to be very sensitive to that. We're still looking at the Columbus castings jobs that are available and what we need to do to help prepare our families. Our students wouldn't be old enough when they graduate for those roles necessarily, but many of their family, their parents would be. So what are we doing to address that adult age learner? I think there was someone, yeah, you were next, sir.
Businesses choose different time periods to set their longer range goals, 1 year, 5 years, sometimes 10 years. What's your time period that you focus on, and what are the principal goals that you've set for the Columbus schools?
Right, so it's 1 o'clock today, it's getting through this, and then so I am committed to ensuring that all 4-year-olds have a high quality, have access to high quality education experiences. But I'm also, we all understand that the person down the street, that may be grandmother or an aunt or an uncle, or just a kind neighbor that operates a little daycare in their home, that may be their sense of livelihood too. That may be their only income. And I don't want to impose that the notion that these have to be formal, organized curricular experiences in schools. So what we've begun to do at Ohio Avenue, for example, where I was this morning, is we've begun to reach out to those providers in neighborhoods and share curricular materials, share best practices, invite them in for our professional development trainings, so that we're certain that when those kindergartners come to us, or those children entering kindergarten, that they do have those skills. But it doesn't mean they have to come to our preschools or the Head Start preschools. They can still get high quality education in those homes. And the providers have been more than willing to embrace that. I would say that's one of our first. I think recognizing all of the employment opportunities right here in Central Ohio is another critical need for us to address. And they don't all require 4-year degrees. Some don't even require 2-year degrees. That's a business, you understand. And so we need to also understand there are different pathways to securing employment that may not require that level of a diploma. Still will require technological training, and those may qualify them for college credit. But the 4- and 2-year degrees may not be the end game. It's actually securing that employment that should be the end game, developing our workforce. And there are many other ways to do that than through the formal paths we're accustomed to. Thank you very much.
I would actually like to ask the last question. I think it's obvious that we are very dedicated to Columbus City Schools through our programs and through the financial support that we provide to the schools. So you don't necessarily have to answer it today if you want to think about it, but what can we do to make our programs as effective and impactful and dovetailed into your overall strategies so that this partnership can continue for years and can continue to be effective?
So I believe you heard the question, and I don't think it's that difficult a question to answer. So we had well over 200 different partnerships with entities that provided some service or good to the district when I arrived, and we engaged in a pro forma activity where we began to evaluate again the effect size, whether in fact it was something scalable, sustainable, so on. And I think subjecting the initiatives you do to that same sort of pro forma would be a wise move on your part. And sometimes it's going to be more qualitative data. For example, the Coleraine Holiday Project. It's going to be difficult necessarily to identify quantitative achievement gains, but we certainly have qualitative data that has merit. And students are learning executive skills, which are very important. I think in most industries they call them soft skills through those experiences. So there are ways to measure those, but I think it's incumbent on anyone that's a donor to make certain they engage in that process with district personnel to ensure there's a return on that investment. And because we don't need to be throwing money at windmills. So.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
In the meantime, be a Rotarian all week long.